This is Kaston. He's a dwarf that can be found wandering around the square at the north of Kaston in Kourend. You've probably never spoken to him before. He's not involved in any quests or clue scroll steps, and you can't trade him for anything. And yet, I think this dwarf right here in this Kaston square is the single most important character I've come across in this game in a long time. Let me explain with some backstory. Like many of you, I first started playing Runescape in the mid-2000s. This game was fascinating to me as a kid because it was the first open world game I had ever played. It was amazing to just walk through this world that someone had created and filled with a bunch of unique characters to interact with. It truly gave you a sense of exploration that couldn't be matched by any other genre of video game. Of course, as time went on, I got to know Runescape better, and that sense of exploration slowly wore off. Eventually, I simply ran out of new places to explore, and I knew this map like the back of my hand. Like many of you, I'm sure, replacing this novelty with familiarity also meant replacing explorative gameplay with efficient gameplay. No longer do we just walk around RuneScape aimlessly to see what we might find, but we always have a goal in mind. Level this skill up, fight this boss, complete this quest. While doing the Tale of the Righteous quest on my Iron Man the other day, I noticed how out of place Kaston seemed, seeing as he is the only dwarf in Kaston, and most of the dwarves in Kourend live in Lovacane. I talked to him and learned that he's actually from Ice Mountain, and saved up money to travel to Kourend to see the blast mine. Unfortunately, because it's too dangerous to go across the Lizardman Canyon, he'll have to take the long way around. And in typical RuneScape fashion, he tells you that the only thing he likes about Kaston is the local pub. So what makes me say that coming across this particular character is so important? Well, it's because to my surprise, he wasn't here when Kourend was first added to the game in 2016, back when old school RuneScape was still relatively new. In fact, he was only added in 2021, along with the Kingdom Divided quest and the Kaston rework. In terms of RuneScape's lifespan, pretty recently, and that made me realize something very important. If you read the poll blogs that the old school RuneScape team puts up whenever they discuss any future update, they obviously focus on functional details. XP rates for new training methods, rewards from new quests and bosses, things like that. It's easy to forget that behind all those functional details, the development team also works on all the flavoring that makes new training methods or bosses become a natural part of the game. The reason I'm making this video is really nothing more than to express my appreciation for the development team that works on this game. Talking to Kaston, a character that you never have any functional reason to talk to, and learning his backstory shows me very clearly that the people working on this game are passionate about it. They have the ability and desire for some amazing world building that makes RuneScape a game that's more than just numbers going up. It's also an interesting world to explore and learn the backstory of all its characters. And this makes me very excited for Varlamore, not because of the Colosseum or the Hunter Guild or any of the functional parts of that update, but just to have a huge new area of the game to explore and once again experience that sense of exploration just like I did as a kid playing RuneScape for the first time. After talking to Kaston, I wanted to see what other unique NPCs were added to Kaston. Quite fittingly, in the church just to the north of the square, you can find a priest named Father OSRS. If you talk to him, your character will say that they're looking for a quest, but he responds that he can only offer you calm and peace. Your character, of course, interprets this as being the name of a quest. I'm going to guess that whoever added Father OSRS to the game was taking a jab at players who only ever want functional stuff to do. It's a good reminder that RuneScape is a game, and games are more than just about numbers going up. Games are supposed to be fun and relaxing. So if you ever find yourself burnt out and not knowing why, it's probably because you're treating RuneScape as a job where you have to complete certain goals, rather than a game to play just for fun. You should take the advice of Kaston and Father OSRS. Take the time to explore RuneScape. Talk to some characters you've never talked to before. Maybe you'll come across someone with an interesting backstory. And along the way, you'll probably find calm and peace as well.